Hi guys, I'm just gonna play some sounds for you from this Ovation guitar from the 90s. It's called the CC047. It's a left-handed one. This model was made, there was a batch of the left-handed that actually was made back in the 90s. I think this model is from 1994. I was trying to date it according to the serial number. And interestingly enough, it has American truss rod. So the truss rod head is not, it's a standard 3/16. So I actually give it a little adjustment. I put a 12 on it. It sounds pretty good. Very, very reliable guitar, I must say. Stays in tune all the time. It just stays in tune. They really made them well those years, you know, back in the 90s. In Korea. What else I can say? Pretty nice projection. The volume is nice. I tried the electronics on that, and it sounds really good electronically too, as well. It's got this system here which has the EQ, and it's got the volume control there as well. You can plug in this is kind of awkward when you have to kind of find the output here. It's somewhere here, and actually, as you can see, it has the traditional belly, like the fiberglass type of material here. This guitar can hold any weather, and it's a laminated top. So it's not a solid top, but still, it's a very reliable guitar. I recommend it. If you can find those, these are going for really cheap, around the 350 bucks. Sometimes you can get them for even less if you're a lefty, probably if you get lucky. Yeah, I guess I call it my Aldi Meola tribute guitar, because, you know, Aldi Meola used to actually play and endorse these guitars back in the 80s. And I remember I used to get these Downbeats magazines back in the 80s, and they used to have all these advertisements of Aldi Meola playing his model, and he actually played some of my favorite albums back in the 80s. And you know, he used to do all these muted picking, which I actually really dug, you know, all that kind of a pretty useful device, you know, if you're playing that Latin music, Latin flavor stuff. And yeah, it's a really nice tribute guitar that, you know, makes me kind of smile and remember those days that I used to listen to Aldi Meola, you know, before I got, you know, into more like a straight ahead jazz. But I still, you know, I'm a big fan of Aldi Meola because he's a great player, and he's always been one of my heroes, my childhood heroes, I guess, you know. So here it is. I'm gonna give you some open sounds so you can actually hear it a little open. You know, it's still, for a small body that it has, it's got very nice projection, and the volume is pretty good too. So you can play all that acoustic, you know, type of songwriting stuff, you know, with that. And I'm just using the pick right now. Let me just try to do some jazz with that, because it works as well. You know, when I'm using my thumb, which is the way that I play most of the solo guitars that I make when I perform solo guitar. I actually use the thumb and the index, and obviously I use the ring fingers as well sometimes, and the middle finger, but only when I do that stuff, you know, like a solo, you know, that whatever bass line type of stuff. All right, so this is the Ovation CC047 1994, made in Korea. And remember, it probably has an American components on it, because as far as I did my search, that was the time that actually Ovation had the transition from the plant that they had in Connecticut to the plant in Korea. But some of the components, like I said, you know, some of the components were probably sourced in the United States, like the truss rod. But I might be wrong with that. Also wanted to say that installing the strings is really easy, much easier than the traditional, you know, with the pins that you have on most of the Martin style guitars and the Taylors. You know, this is like, it's a nice bridge that you have here, just inserting it, you know, here the balls are right there, you see, the ball ends. So you're just inserting it right into the tuning pegs, no problem, you know, really hassle free. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this guitar, you know. I'm not that kind of guy that plays a lot of acoustic guitar on my gigs. I never really needed to. But every now and then, you know, when I need an acoustic guitar, it's good to have one which is reliable. You know, like I said, it's not a high-end guitar, but it's reliable, it stays in tune, and it's worth way more than what you can get them out there these days. So if you search for the Korean-made guitars, you know, from the 90s, you might find a very good deal for them, and they are totally under the radar. All right, so